Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 36 of One Man's Opinion. Today I am reviewing Sharon Playhouse's production of The Lifespan of a Fact, written by Jeremy Kareken and David Murrell and Gordon Farrell, directed by Marcia Milgrom Dodge, running at the Playhouse through October 15th at 49 Amelia Road in Sharon, Connecticut. If you like my content and would like to support my channel, I encourage you to visit my Patreon page where, for as little as $1 a month, you can support this show and other projects that I do, including my classic movie podcast, Yesterday's Matinee, which is available on Spotify with early episodes on Patreon. A link is in the description. This is the third time I've reviewed The Lifespan of a Fact, the first time being the Broadway production and the second at TheaterWorks Hartford, and it's got to be a testament to the playwrights and the book that it's based on by John DeGatta and Jim Fingal that I love this play as much as I do. I mean, I've seen other shows 3 times in about the same length of time, like Mamma Mia, A Doll's House Part 2, and Cabaret, and all of them have worn out their welcome with me. But every time I see The Lifespan of a Fact, I am enjoying it more and more, as each time I see it, I feel like I'm seeing a new fresh aspect of it that makes me appreciate it more. This may be due to the fact that I'm a journalist by trade and I have a certain appreciation for the debate this play offers. Set over a weekend in 2003, Emily Penrose of Harper's Magazine, played by Jennifer Van Dyke, receives a new piece by essayist John DeGatta, played by Jonathan Walker. She loves the piece and pulls a piece on congressional spouses and replaces it with DeGatta's essay. The problem is, she has to follow her best practices and have a fact-checker read through the 15-page essay before it goes to print. In comes intern Jim Fingal, played by Reynaldo Piniella. Jim, who is maybe a bit too exceptional with his job, finds hundreds of things to question about this piece. This leads to a showdown between Jim and John at John's home in Las Vegas, with Emily trying to resolve the issue as much as possible. The ticking clock story escalates as we are tossed into a debate of what is fact, what can be interpretive fact, what liberties can be made with a factual essay for the sake of poetic use of language and still keep the truth. And is there a difference between truth and fact? Some of what John writes are absolute falsehoods. Other things could be interpretive, like what is a traffic jam. Regardless, the arguments are there, and they are not always as clear as one would suspect. What elevates the script is its humor in the midst of its argument. Jim, John, and Emily are all very intelligent people, and their witticisms, though biting, are also hilarious. This is by far the most unique production of The Lifespan of a Fact that I've seen. I'll note before going on that I've known the director, Marcia Milgrom Dodge, for about 22 years, and I'll do my best not to let my personal connection to her bias my review regarding her direction of the show. I mean, it's hard to recuse myself in a situation like this when the director is the person making the show. Typically, Sharon Playhouse is a traditional proscenium theater, but for The Lifespan of a Fact, Marcia Milgrom Dodge has brought the audience on stage, creating a 3/4 stage with the audience seated in the wings and at the foot of the stage, and the action taking place in the middle. I was initially concerned that the people sitting in either wing would have trouble seeing the action, but those fears were quickly abated as she creates an almost dance at times with the actors as they move about, circling each other in their debate, allowing the audience from every direction to see the action fully play out. There's a great bit early on as Jim and John, who are on the phone with each other, both wheel around the stage in their chairs, taking what would normally be a more static moment into a depiction of the two men entangling themselves with each other. It doesn't feel too chaotic at all, as the arguments between the 3 characters have so much energy in itself that the sometimes frenetic quality works. I do recommend that if you are seated in the wings in the orange section, to sacrifice a row or two and sit further back where you have more elevation to see the action. The seats don't start to rake up until about row 4, if I remember correctly, and if you're in row 3, you may not have as clear a visual than if you sit in row 5. Because row 5 is about a foot higher up. Jennifer Van Dyke is fantastic and my favorite part of the play when it comes to the cast. She is indefatigable as Emily, who has no patience for Jim and John's antics, pressing for them to come to some conclusion with the reworking of the essay for deadline. Jonathan Walker is properly surly as John DeGatta, taking offense at the nerve of a young intern correcting something he thinks is an absolute perfect piece of writing. Having seen The Lifespan of a Fact twice before, I had an expectation with the role of Jim Fingal, and Reynaldo Piniella's performance took some getting used to, as his interpretation of Jim is a bit cockier than I've seen in previous performances. I found Daniel Radcliffe's and Nick LaMedica's performances to have a bit more insecurity and awkwardness to their performances. This doesn't necessarily make Piniella's performance wrong, just different. It took a bit of time for me to adjust to the idea that Jim can have his own arrogance and less naivete. It does remove some of the protagonist nature of the character and makes him a bit more culpable to the main conflict of the piece and its ending. It was still a good performance, and in its own way, a nice reinterpretation of the role. The Lifespan of a Fact is one of the best plays of the past 5, maybe 10 years, and every production I've seen has been excellent, including this one at Sharon Playhouse. It has one more week of performances, and I encourage everyone to head up to Sharon and experience this singular piece of theater. Now, when you get to the end of the play, I'm not going to reveal what happens, but if you have seen the play and you want a spoiler, I'm going to leave something for you in the description, but you'll have to scroll through everything that's in there in order to get it. It'll be at the very bottom of the description, but that's just a little Easter egg for those who want to find it. But I am only one man's opinion, so be sure to leave yours in the comments below. If you'd like to see The Lifespan of a Fact, I'll leave a link in the description where you can get tickets. I'll also leave a link to my Patreon page where you can support my channel by becoming a patron. You can also support my channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing, and click the notification bell to be alerted to future reviews. My next review will be Yale Repertory Theater's production of Wish You Were Here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at the theater.